DC here. Hi guys. Well, it's time to make the sauerkraut, and I'm going to actually dedicate this vid to Jellybean 4501. That's Jennifer and Irene Tweetness. Now, Jennifer had asked me at the time about the cider, when I had made some cider. Well, I have to say I have been drinking a little bit now in the meantime, but I thought I'd put the vid together just to show you, I mean, both the things, cider and the sauerkraut, which were made actually in, is that September, I think. Now, the cider came along really nicely, and if you can look here, I mean, you can see the seal is up there. I mean, it took some gas. The gas is like coming out when it's necessary, but there is no more gas actually coming out. It has now fermented, and it is really quite nice. And you take it out over here. I'll just show you that in a second. And today, well, like I said, we'll be making some sauerkraut, and I won't actually bring you along very much into that because it's not much of an interesting recipe as far as it's concerned. Probably show you the finished product more than anything else. So let's just take a bit of that cider. Okay, so I gotta bend down here. I got this thing on the tripod. So yeah, here we are. So cheers. Now, what I have to say is that this doesn't actually, get it into the screen, this doesn't actually taste like apple juice. And if you've been to pubs in England, for example, or Ireland, I suppose, you know what the taste is like. It's a little bit different. This is more what they call scrumpy over there. You see, it's not clear, it's not filtered. But this is a mixture, actually, I should call it apple cider. It's, in a way, it's also what you call perry, because there was pears in it, if you remember. It's quite nice and mild. And I haven't measured it, but it's these are approximately 4% alcohol, I'd say. Yeah. So, cheers again. Okay, so now we're at the sauerkraut. Well, this has been here now since September. I can see I should have put a bit of more water in the seal, but there's still enough. I have not opened this since then, so it's actually been fermenting in there since September. And this is, well, we'll see. You know, it's almost like an archaeological dig, you know, when you go into one of these tombs here. So, what you see there is the stones, and the water, which is on top, is, like I mentioned the last time when I made the sauerkraut, that's just the fermented, I mean the express liquid from the cabbage. There is no other liquid. So I will have to actually dig in there and pull out some cabbage, some sauerkraut, and I'll show you that in a second, but I can actually do that with only one hand. Okay, I'm back. So actually, I guess you could title sauerkraut a vegetarian's nightmare. Sauerkraut on its own, actually, I shouldn't say it that way. Alsatian sauerkraut, as they do it, is a vegetarian's nightmare. Sauerkraut, of course, is used in a lot of vegetarian recipes because it's got certain amino acids that you can't find elsewhere, and which are actually a good complement if you're vegetarian. So that's what the sauerkraut looks like. The video looks like it's coming out a little bit more yellow, actually. So I tasted it because you can eat it raw, of course, and it's quite nice. It's slightly tart, as it should be. I mean, now what goes into the Alsatian sauerkraut? Well, the sauerkraut is cooked. First off, you onions into some goose fat. You know, you can use any type of fat, but goose fat helps for the taste. And then, basically, the sauerkraut, once here, cooked in some Alsatian wine, and this is the vegetarian's nightmare. So, farm people in the Alsace, like I guess a lot of farm people in Europe, mostly had pigs. So it's all type of smoked meats that go in there. So these are different cuts of pork, which are smoked. Sausages of different varieties, and at the end you serve them with it looks like hot dogs, but it's something called knacks. I mean, I have to admit I didn't have the chance to go to the Alsace and get the real stuff, so this is the Swiss variant. But nevertheless, I mean, they call that because they knack, they snap a bit, like, you know, when you bite into them. So you don't. Everything else is cooked actually in the sauerkraut, except for the hot dogs, which you are calling the knackerlis, which you just put in warm water before. And yeah, that is basically it. I mean, the sauerkraut starts off in the wine, and the rest just kind of one after the other, different times, simmers into the sauerkraut, and you serve that with boiled potatoes. A very simple recipe. Choucroute garnie, which was actually something that, like I said, was a farm recipe. There is nothing exotic about this. So I'll show you, I expect the final product. But, you know, it's not a spectacular meal as far as for seeing goes, but it's a nice mixture of tastes. Now, let's see. Try and get the recipe for those who read French. Now, this is the recipe. Maybe I should try and scan it in and put it as a picture. But if you're able to, anyway, you can see here. Maybe I don't even have to show you the picture, because that's what it looks like more or less. I mean, they've different maybe cuts of meat, but that's about it. No, it's the same type of meat. Okay, well, guys, I just have to get this thing going now. Take care. Okay, DC here, guys. I'm back. Well, this is the final result. As you can see, this is really, I mentioned it, I think in the beginning of the intro, we could say a good farmer's meal. So a lot of pork, a lot of meat, salty potatoes, the sauerkraut, and you have to serve it with Alsatian wine, if you're making the Alsatian sauerkraut, and a strong mustard. And that is usually the way that you eat these type of sauerkraut. Of course, there's loads of recipes with sauerkraut. And yeah, what else can I say now? Enjoy your meal and take care.